I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video brought to you by the Freedom Eagle, political news and commentary with a conservative lean. Today I would like to share my thoughts about the late great Rush Limbaugh. This is just an off-the-cuff video, and I'll just speak from personal experience, a little bit about my political story, how I became to grow into the views that I share today, and sort of my thoughts of Rush Limbaugh over the years and how I changed my thoughts quite dramatically over the last 20 or 30 years. I was apolitical up until my mid-20s. I knew who Rush Limbaugh was. I knew he was Republican, and I didn't care. One of the things that a lot of people probably don't understand, especially if you are right now 20, 21, 22, even like 17 or 18, kids today are much more political than they were 20 years ago when I was 20. A lot of that has to do with social media, quite obviously. In 2000, 1999, 1998, there wasn't a Facebook. I mean, MySpace hadn't even come around yet. So, there was just, unless you really read the newspaper or watched television, there wasn't really this, everything is, the biggest thing to understand now, and we all do, everything is political now. You can't watch sports without politics. So, 20, 25 years ago, you could be literally, in the most literal sense, be apolitical. You didn't have to watch political news, and political news didn't come after you. Now, even if you don't watch political news, you're political because whatever you enjoy, even if it has at the core nothing to do with politics, there's politics. It's all in your face. So that's a big point in my personal story. I don't think if I was 19 or 20 years old today, I don't think I could sort of, I guess you could say, get away with being apolitical. I would have to sort of pick a side, if you will, because it's in your face all the time. But like I said, I'm in my early 40s, so things were different 20, 25 years ago. But back then, I was apolitical. The only thing I ever saw of Rush Limbaugh was on my local news. I did watch my local news when I was younger, like I do today, but I didn't watch any national political news. So the only times I would ever see Rush Limbaugh was on my local news when they would talk about national news stories. I would see this man behind a gold microphone, big boisterous personality, it's sort of like yelling, screaming, big, powerful man, I won't say intimidating, but big physical statured guy with, just the high blood pressure and the clenched fist and the this and that, the power of Limbaugh. And, at age, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, I just thought this guy was just a big blowhard, windbag, crazy person. Just want to be fair about it. I was apolitical. So I knew he was a Republican, but I just thought this guy's just, I just didn't get it. I didn't care to understand. But what's interesting about all of that is, even back when I was a teenager, preteen, child, I was always a conservative. But because I was apolitical, I didn't know that's what I was. You can carry feelings, your ethics, your morals, your values can align with a specific political party. But if you are apolitical, you don't know what basket those values go in. So I was a conservative from birth, essentially, through my teens and in my early 20s. But at the same time, I sort of grew to be told, probably from school, that Republicans were the bad people. So the whole time I'm sort of siding with Democrats while I'm a conservative and not really knowing that I'm a conservative. That's a big part of my story as it relates to how I related to people like Rush Limbaugh. back in the day when I was 20, 15 years old, when Rush was really coming into his own as a powerhouse on the radio in the 90s, my life revolved around school, sports, and girls in no particular order. If whatever someone was talking about didn't have anything to do with those three things, it was right over my head. I didn't care. Here again, I thought people like Limbaugh were just crazy windbags. One of my first memories, true memories of Rush Limbaugh came after Bill Clinton was elected. Early 1993, 92 election, 93, his first year in office. I remember he had a television show. I don't think it lasted very long. It looked like an infomercial, like it had a live audience. The whole set just sort of looked hokey. And here again, this man's just sitting there shouting. Um, my first memory of Rush Limbaugh was not the radio icon that he became and that he is, um, but a guy on television. Limbaugh in general, to me, just seemed like his entire fame came from controversy, almost like a political version of Howard Stern. However, my opinion changed about everything once I had my personal awakening. Once I had my awakening in my mid-20s and realized that there is a party that fits my values. It's conservatism. I'm a conservative. So I finally had a basket to put my values in. Well, that was a game changer for me because once that happened, I decided to figure out who the heck Rush Limbaugh really was. And I did it with other people in the conservative movement. I wanted to know what they had to offer once I really finally figured out who the heck I was politically. Because I was a conservative forever. Didn't realize that I was. But once I did, I wanted to investigate and figure out what was going on. The thing about Rush Limbaugh, looking back, he was probably the first winner or victor against what we know to be cancel culture today. Everyone and their mom wanted to pull him off the air for 30 years. Here again, apolitical me back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, I just thought the guy was a boob because I never bothered to figure out that he wasn't. But I'm glad that I had my awakening about 15 years or so before he passed so I could enjoy his greatness, understand his past, and realize his influence, not just on conservatism and in the conservative movement, but within the conservative voice. Just think how many great conservative voices have appeared on the scene, even within the past 10 years. It's impossible not to believe that Rush didn't have an influence on them. Um, just think of the great voices that are still with us. Those who are inspired by Rush and those who inspire people like me and many others. Pulling a name out of the hat, let's go with Ben Shapiro. A man in his mid-30s. Well, us regular folks, on YouTube, in some way, we're probably inspired by Ben. Like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I have a channel? Why does Joe Blow have a channel? Why does this other person, this woman, this guy, whoever, why do they have channels? Regular people getting on YouTube, having a podcast. They've never held political office. They're not someone who was in the political spotlight before starting a YouTube channel. So, what has made regular people? Why do those people want their voice heard? And I think it all starts with Rush Limbaugh because Rush came on the scene, inspired some people. Those people started doing their thing, and then other people got inspired by it's a trickle-down effect, probably of the best kind. And from a professional standpoint, that's probably Rush's, that's his legacy. A lot of people say, what's his legacy? That comes to mind. What we're doing now, that's a byproduct of Limbaugh. Without Limbaugh kicking that door down, who's to say? We've been dealing with liberal voices around every corner now for 60 years. But Limbaugh took the bull by the horns in the late 80s, and that's sort of why we're all here as a conservative collective voice. Anthony Brian Logan, that's another name on YouTube. If you're watching this, you probably know who ABL is. I love his channel. I love what he does. Hosting 3-hour call-in shows twice a week. Well, does that happen without Rush Limbaugh grinding at the wheel for all those decades, setting in motion what we have today? I guess I just want to say that Rush Limbaugh gave a voice to the everyman. Not to every man, but to the everyman. He was a champion for the average Joe. And there's a heck of a lot more average Joes and Janes than there are elitists. The average Joes and Janes, they're the folks that make the wheels turn, not the elitist. And Limbaugh, he spoke to the average man, the everyman, and that's very important. So I just want to say rest in peace to Rush Limbaugh, a legend, an icon. He will never be replaced. He is the Michael Jordan of conservative radio. His voice, his opinions. You didn't even have to agree with his opinions, all of his opinions, even conservatives. He was a controversial figure. There's no question about that. But I think he even opened a lot of doors to for his enemies. I mean, how many liberals, how many far leftists have podcasts and radio shows and TV shows, and they couldn't stand Rush Limbaugh and probably still can't. But there's a seed planted within them that said, that guy can do it. I bet you I can do it. They probably hated everything that Limbaugh had to say, but just the fact he was saying it on the microphone, they probably thought, you know what? I can get behind a microphone too and give my political views, just like he can get behind the mic and give his. So Rush Limbaugh inspired everybody across the board. Great voice of conservatism, an iconic figure. I'm just glad that I had my political awakening in time to, not view the guy the way I viewed him in my youth. I thought he was a windbag because all I heard was controversial sound bites because I was very much apolitical. And once I found my home in a party that fit my values, I was able to sort of go back and evaluate everything and evaluate Limbaugh and have an appreciation for his voice instead of just thinking that he was just, some crazy guy behind a microphone. So I'm glad I had my awakening before it was too late. So rest in peace, Rush Limbaugh. May your legacy live on, and I will talk to you later. Take care.